Hi, I'm Yonden Lhatoo at the South China Morning Post. Let us all lift our eyes up to the ivory towers within which our government is ensconced and give thanks to it for finally and effectively acknowledging what we the people knew already. Hong Kong's housing situation has gone to hell. Abandon all hope, ye who enter here. Home prices in the world's most expensive housing market have skyrocketed 126% over the past 22 years, surpassing the obscene heights we last saw in 1997. That was just before the bubble burst, courtesy of the Asian financial crisis, which taught us a few lessons about greed that have long since been forgotten. Property prices are still mostly out of reach for Hong Kongers, Finance Minister Paul Chan admitted recently. Thank you, Captain Obvious, but at least it's on the record now. Mortgages have become bottomless pits that devour nearly 70% of incomes among those who are desperate or foolhardy enough to buy homes in these ridiculous times. Astronomical prices continue to explore the furthest reaches of outer space, boldly going where no decent man has gone before and alienating an entire population of unfortunates who can only fantasize about owning that most basic of human comforts, a roof over one's head. And how is our fearless leader, Chief Executive Carrie Lam, tackling this carnage? Well, she has her hands full with a purportedly far more pressing emergency: the urgent need to change the city's extradition laws so that criminal suspects taking shelter here can be sent back to mainland China and other jurisdictions with which Hong Kong has no fugitive transfer agreement. Her sudden obsession with the extradition bill has apparently sidelined her promise to put the focus on livelihood issues, housing being the biggest and most demanding, when she took over the reins of the city nearly 2 years ago. Hundreds of thousands are hitting the streets in a stunning public backlash against the bill because of an almost pathological mistrust of the justice system and human rights track record across the border. Even more worrying is the extent to which thousands of youngsters are prepared to go in this sudden surge of mass dissent. Watching their violent confrontations with police, I can't help feeling this goes far beyond a legal amendment to the city's extradition laws. This is about feeling hopeless and frustrated and downtrodden. It's about the perception that no one cares about their grievances, whether stemming from social or political problems, and that there is no future. I can't fathom why Lam would invite needless grief by stirring up a hornet's nest and precipitating a political crisis entirely of her own construction when she can't even fix basic habitation. Talk about not being able to see the wood for the trees. In an affluent city of 7.4 million, with an Uncle Scrooge of a government sitting on fiscal reserves totaling well over $1 trillion, housing remains the root cause of deep resentment and social strife. It all boils down to an outdated system under which our government cannot wean itself off the diseased teat of its over-reliance on land sales for revenue. It's long overdue for an overhaul. Sure, there are grand plans for massive land reclamation to build satellite towns, but they're decades away, and people continue to suffer in discomfort and indignity in the meantime. Hundreds of thousands are packed like sardines into tiny subdivided flats because they can't afford the high-rise pigeonholes that the more privileged among us are cooped up in, or qualify for public housing, which has waiting lists long enough to ensure people die in the endless queues. The solution is a political one, and any revamp of the system will require the courage to take on powerful property tycoons who continue to game it, whether by hoarding land or putting homes less than 200 square feet in size on the market, passing them off as fit for humans. It's beyond outrageous. At this rate, why not just lay us out in rows of coffins and be done with it? We can sleep and dine them like homeless vampires, except that all the blood-sucking can be left to those who have no qualms about putting profits before people.